Today, we're getting into something really epic. The poetic drama KulPralay by Rajiv Mudgal.
Indeed, and our focus really is this intense, deep-seated vendetta.
Right, specifically between Shishupal and Krishna, but also how Shalva emerges, driven by his own loss and this need for revenge.
Exactly. We're drawing directly from excerpts of the poetic drama itself, trying to understand the motivations, the psychology behind it all.
Okay, so let's dive in. It really kicks off with Shishupal's birth, doesn't it? Which is unusual.
Oh, absolutely. Born in Chidi with 4 arms, 3 eyes. I mean, that immediately tells you something extraordinary, possibly ominous, is happening.
And then there's that divine voice, almost instantly.
Yes, revealing he's a fallen devotee of Vishnu. And, crucially, that his liberation, his path out, is actually through death at Vishnu's hands, who is, of course, Krishna in this context.
So destiny's laid out right from the start. It's a bit chilling, actually.
It really is. And then Krishna arrives on the scene.
Not with a big entrance, though. The drama describes it as quite quiet.
Very quiet. He interacts with the infant Shupal, and the extra limbs, the third eye, they just vanish.
But there's that line about the shadow remaining. That feels significant.
Hugely significant. The physical abnormality is gone, but let's say, the inner essence, the karmic weight, it's still there. It lingers.
And this leads to that moment where Shishupal's mother asks Krishna to spare him.
A mother's plea. And Krishna makes a promise.
To forgive him 100 times. Which, on the surface, sounds like pure mercy.
It does, but the way the drama frames it, it feels less like changing fate and more like postponing it, setting a limit.
Yeah, like a divine countdown. It's not really about if it will happen, but when it reaches that 100th time.
Precisely. It adds this incredible layer of dramatic tension right from the beginning. It's mercy, but with a deadline.
So Shishupal grows up, and this promise hangs over him, but also this negativity.
Deep negativity. The drama paints a picture of him being surrounded by insults, constantly feeding this hatred for Krishna.
It mentions him hearing Krishna's name everywhere, like a black smoke tainting everything, even his own victories.
It's an obsession. It completely warps his perception. His successes feel hollow because they're always overshadowed, in his mind, by Krishna. It's a powerful look at how resentment can consume someone.
So even becoming king of Chedi doesn't fix this inner void.
Not at all. His reign seems driven by trying to fill that emptiness, and this leads him to Jarasandha.
An alliance based purely on mutual hatred for Krishna.
A bond forged in negativity. And Shishupal is just collecting these perceived slights, building this case against Krishna in his own mind.
Which brings us to the Rajasuya Yagna, a huge event.
Massive. Dharmaraji the Shur's coronation, kings, sages, gods, everyone's there, including Krishna, naturally.
And this is the stage for Shishupal's, his big meltdown.
You could call it that. Yudhishthira proposes the first honor, the Agra Puja, should go to the most virtuous, the most accomplished person there.
And the consensus.
The assembly names Krishna.
Which is the absolute trigger for Shishupal.
Completely. He just explodes, unleashes this torrent of insults.
Questioning everything. His lineage's upbringing.
Everything. Calls him a cowherd, points out he doesn't have his own kingdom in the traditional sense, accuses him of deceit,
Do you just imagine the silence in the hall, the sabha, as each insult lands?
Absolutely. The drama builds that tension masterfully. Shishupal isn't just being rude, he's challenging the entire assembly, challenging Dharma itself.
And Krishna's reaction.
Silence. Just silence. But the text implies he's counting each offense.
So the insults keep coming, getting worse.
More pointed, questioning his actions, hinting at trickery in past events. He's really pushing it, testing that limit.
Everyone knows about the promise, presumably. Or at least Krishna does.
Krishna certainly does. And as Shishupal rails against him, you feel that number ticking up. 98, 99.
Until the 100th insult, the final one.
The one that breaks the camel's back, so to speak. And Krishna finally speaks just, exactly. And then the Sudarshan chakra.
It appears. How is it described?
Less like just a weapon, more like divine justice made manifest. Swift, decisive. It decapitates Shishupal.
The prophecy fulfilled.
Instantly.
Yeah.
And then a really interesting twist, Shishupal's soul, his essence.
It attains liberation.
Yes, by merging back into Krishna, fulfilling that original divine statement about his path.
Dude, that shadow you mentioned earlier.
Yes. The shadow, the drama says it lingers. This residue of intense hatred, it doesn't just dissipate.
It finds a new host.
It enters Shalva, who is right there, witnessing Shishupal's death.
How does Shalva react in that moment?
Silently. Intensely, the drama describes it as a new death war being born inside him. Not grief exactly, but a crystallization of purpose. A new target for his own pain.
So Shalva isn't just some random ally. He has his own deep story.
Oh, absolutely. The narrative makes it clear he wasn't inherently evil or a warmonger. He was a king who suffered immense heartbreak.
This involves Amba, right?
Yes. His love for Amba. Bhishma abducts her, along with her sisters, for Vichitravirya. Then complications arise. Amba declares her love for Shalva.
But Bhishma had already won her, technically, and then things go further downhill.
Indeed. Amba is eventually allowed to go to Shalva, but he, feeling dishonored perhaps, or maybe questioning her after her time away, rejects her.
Or perhaps she rejects him. The focus shifts, doesn't it? She becomes obsessed with revenge against Bhishma.
Exactly. She turns her entire being towards destroying Bhishma, not towards returning to Shalva. And this rejection, this whole situation, leaves Shalva feeling utterly defeated.
Defeated in love, in his kingly honor.
In his very existence, it seems, it's a profound wound.
And this pain. This is what connects him to Shishupal.
Yes, he sees his own shadow, his own sense of loss and injustice mirrored in Shishupal's rage, even though the causes are different. Shalva's story is a stark reminder of how unresolved grief can curdle into something else entirely.
So their friendship, their alliance, it's built on this shared darkness.
Described as a nightmare bond. Shared animosity towards Krishna, shared feelings of loss. They plan together, imagine destruction together. Shalva becomes deeply invested in Shishupal's quest.
There's that poignant scene the night before Shishupal dies.
Yes, after a victory on a snowy peak, they're reflecting and there's this moment of honesty.
They admit their victories feel hollow.
Because they lost where it mattered most to them in love. Shalva with Amba, Shishupal with Rukmini, who chose Krishna.
Shalva's memories of Amba are described vividly.
Very. Her beauty, their past, the sheer pain of losing her because of Bhishma's vow, his own failed attempt to win her back or rescue her situation, and then her rejection, her turn towards vengeance. It scarred him deeply.
And Shishupal shares his own pain about Rukmini being with Krishna.
That unrequited love, the sting of her choosing his rival, it fuels his hatred too.
So they have this shared realization.
That the world didn't defeat them, love did, or rather, the loss of it, the complexities around it. Their swords, their wars are now carrying the weight of that unfulfilled love.
This really reframes their motivation, doesn't it? It's not just politics or power.
It's deeply personal. Their hatred for Krishna gets tangled up with all this grief and perceived romantic injustice.
So after Shishupal's death, Shalva is left with this intensified burden.
And he channels it. He heads north, alone, towards the Himalayas, seeking a different kind of power.
Power for revenge.
Purely for revenge. He undertakes this incredibly intense penance, tapasya, to Lord Shiva.
In the harsh Himalayas, it's depicted as real suffering.
Oh, yes. Extreme hardship, physical pain, offering his own blood. It's a measure of his desperation and his absolute commitment to destroying Krishna's kingdom, Dwarka.
And Shiva appears.
He does, acknowledging the sheer force of Shalva's devotion, his unwavering focus.
And grants him a boon. This is where Salba comes in.
Exactly. Shiva grants him Saba. Not a typical weapon, but something else.
A flying fortress.
A flying fortress, yes, but one based on Maya. Illusion. Indestructible, seemingly, and powered directly by Shalva's hatred.
Maya. So not just illusion like a trick, but something deeper.
More like the power to alter perception, to create realities. A cosmic force of delusion, you could say. Soba is literally built from Shalva's negative emotions. It shows how potent that inner state can be.
But there's a condition attached to this power.
A crucial one. Salpa's existence, its power, is tied directly to Shalva's hatred. If his anger cools, and this seems impossible to him, love were somehow to re-enter his heart.
The fortress could turn against him.
Precisely. It highlights the dangerous instability of power derived from such destructive sources.
Does Shalva hesitate?
Not for a second. He accepts. He declares his love died with Amba, that his hatred is unwavering. He vows Krishna will hear his cry of pain and vengeance.
A total commitment to destruction.
Absolute. And then Saba manifests.
How's it described?
Terrifying. A dark, flying fortress blotting out the sky, not made of stone or metal in the usual sense, but woven from Shalva's pain, his hatred. It even shifts form, sometimes eerily resembling Amba's shadow.
Wow, that's psychologically potent.
Deeply. Shiva even says Soha is an extension of Shalva's Maya, designed to consume his enemies.
And Shalva makes his vow clear.
Yes, he declares his arrival, his intent to shatter Krishna's peace.
So Soba heads for Dwarka, Like a flying curse.
Exactly, descending upon the city.
Its arrival isn't like a normal invasion, though.
No, the drama describes it more like an acquisition. This colossal, ominous shadow just engulfs Dorka, creating instant unease, a deep fear.
And this fear manifests in small ways initially.
Beautifully described. Subtle things. A woman's hand freezing mid-snore while cooking. An old healer feeling a change in the wind. A lamp flickering strangely. A child suddenly clinging to their mother.
The rhythm of the city is disrupted.
Yes, the sounds falter. Temple bells don't ring quite right. Venus strings sound off-key. It's an unsettling disruption of the normal pulse of life.
Creating this internal anxiety.
Exactly. People start questioning, are we ready? Can we fight this? What will we lose? It's a doom that feels bigger than just war. It's psychological, spiritual.
An eerie stillness falls over the city.
A very unnatural stillness. The sky darkens when it shouldn't. Birds fly erratically. Even the sea seems mournful. Time feels frozen. Unfinished meals, interrupted music. A sense of dreadful anticipation.
But Dwarka doesn't just crumble in fear.
No. The shock turns into resolve. Ugrasen rallies the Yadava warriors.
And others step up too.
Yes, Udava warns them this isn't a normal enemy. This is Shiva's boon. It's Maya. Pradyumna is fiery, ready for battle. Samba too. And Balarama brings his wisdom, reminding them to fight with Dharma.
So they fight back, and aerial battle begins.
Fiercely. Arrows, chakras, fiery weapons are launched at Salpa. Dorka shows its spirit.
But Solva retaliates.
With flames, collapsing structures, it's destructive. But the real weapon is yet to come.
The Maya.
The Maya. Saba starts multiplying itself in the sky, the Akashuddha, the sky war, creating chaos, confusion. Warriors don't know what's real, where to aim.
That must have been terrifying. A psychological assault.
Immense. Warriors questioning their own senses. Balarama urges patience, focus. Uddhava stresses fighting with consciousness, awareness, not just sight, because sight can be fooled.
And then Solva just disappears.
Vanishes. The sky clears, but the dread deepens. The war has changed. Now they're fighting illusion itself. Fear and uncertainty grip the city even tighter.
This seems like a moment for deeper insight.
It is, and it's Pradyumna who has that breakthrough, seemingly guided subtly by Krishna's influence or wisdom.
He realizes they're fighting a reflection.
Essentially, yes. He understands Salva's true nature isn't just physical. Its core is rooted in Maya, possibly in another dimension or plane of reality. The physical attacks were hitting a projection.
So he changes tactics.
Radically. He employs divine weapons, the Brahmastra perhaps, weapons imbued with immense spiritual power. His arrows aren't just physical, they target the source of the Maya.
And this works.
It shatters the illusions. Suddenly, Salva's true form flickers into view.
What does it look like?
Decaying. Burned iron, walls scarred as if by powerful mantras, and the sense of silent screams, tormented souls trapped within. It's revealed as this. Destructive phantom, Inami. Vulnerable, ultimately.
So is it destroyed?
Not exactly defeated in battle. It vanishes. Fades away into the sea mist. It's more like a retreat, a disappearance, leaving this lingering unease.
A hollow victory for the Yadavas.
Somewhat hollow, yes. The immediate threat is gone, but the source wasn't destroyed in a conventional way.
What's the aftermath like in Dwarka?
The city is wounded, scarred, but breathing. Pradyumna returns quietly, no big celebrations. There's this silent acknowledgement from the citizens of his inner strength, the city's survival.
And there's a symbol of hope.
Yes, a single lotus flower mentioned as surviving amidst the ruins. A small sign of resilience, of life persisting. Hope starts to emerge from the wreckage.
And the segment ends with a feeling.
A feeling that Krishna is returning. Despite the smoke, the damage, the city senses his approach, not as a warrior returning from battle, but as truth returning.
Yeah.
As home.
Okay, so let's recap this incredible arc we've covered.
We started with Shishupal, his birth, the curse, that all-consuming hatred for Krishna, leading inevitably to his death at the Rajasuya Yagna.
Then the focus shifted to Shalva. His own backstory of heartbreak with Amba, transforming him into this figure of vengeance.
Who then gains the terrifying boon of Salba from Shiva, that illusion-based fortress powered by hate.
Leading to the devastating attack on Dwarka, the battle against Maya, and Pradyumna's crucial role in shattering those illusions.
True. Yeah, quite a journey. And the central themes are just so powerful.
The destructive power of hatred, absolutely. And how loss, that deep pain of loss, can fuel this relentless cycle of revenge.
And that contrast between raw physical power and the power of Maya, of illusion, how inner strength, awareness, truth, that's what's needed to overcome it.
But it's not over, is it? There's this unresolved tension.
Definitely not over. Krishna's return feels like the start of the next phase. A direct confrontation with Shalva seems unavoidable now.
Dwarka is scarred. The suffering has been immense. It really sets the stage for a final reckoning.
It does. Which leaves us, and you listening, with some things to think about.
What are those long-term consequences of hatred this deep? Not just for Shalva, but for everyone caught in its wake.
And perhaps more profoundly, how do you break that cycle? How do you deal with betrayal, with loss, without just becoming part of the chain of revenge?
As Krishna arrives back in Dwarka, amidst all that destruction, the final answers about justice, about the true cost of vengeance in this epic story, well, they still hang in the balance for us to contemplate.